Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, where's Nick?
Right here.
Okay.
So Jeremy, I'm just gonna tell you something. And look, you've got a problem with the Facebook page. I've been running into that too.
What?
He's got one Facebook page it's not broadcasting to.
Uh-oh, we having a
Yeah, I
technical.
know. I've been having that issue a couple times.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Which one is that?
But anyway, yeah, Jeremy, we were talking about something very inappropriate. It's a good damn thing that the mute was on because I forgot that this program doesn't shut you up.
I already pre-empty all of that before we even get going.
It's a good thing. It really is. So, y'all have a good show. We'll see you on Saturday.
Take care, Zach.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
it wasn't that inappropriate. It's nothing that I didn't say the other week that I don't want this mic in my face because it looks like you're eating a dick.
no, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no way.
I just don't like it right here. And I don't like seeing people with the mic right here between the camera and no.
I don't see how those podcasters can do it. I wouldn't want it right in front of me either.
Well,
Zach
you guys have seen in the past, I do have a mic, but it's further down. It's further down though.
Yeah, but the thing, what she's talking about is where the microphone is right.
Right in front of your face.
it was like right here when we started, and I'm like,
Yeah, you're already loud enough without it being that close.
well, he told me
PG
told me I
18,
can't
Joanne said.
I can't yell in it because it picks up everything,
Oh, I'm sure.
and it's down as far as it goes.
That's a new one, Joanne. PG 18.
That's me.
Yeah, but at least you know when to toe the line. There are some people out there that do not have that capability.
No,
No, I believe it.
no, I have that capability at work. I do it 10 hours a day. So when I get off of there, and mind you, it's immediate from there to 2 flights of stairs, and I'm here. So my professionalism between upstairs and here is gone. I've had to play nice and kiss ass for 10 hours. I'm done.
I don't blame you.
I have no problem. The last guy I got, though, he was so sweet. He was like, he said, I didn't think you'd be open, and this might be a dumb question. I probably should ask my company. And I said, what's going on? There's no dumb questions. What's going on? He says, I need to find out how to get a voucher to go to school. I said, you don't ask your company. You called the right place because they're going to tell you to call me. And he says, oh, okay. Well, I didn't even think you'd be open. I said, we are for another 15 minutes. He goes, you know what? I can call back tomorrow. That's okay. No, I said, I'm here. I'm bored. Figure out. Let's do this.
And you got it all squared away before you came down.
Yeah, well, I told him he didn't know what he wanted to do, so I told him here's the link. Read through what your company will allow, and call me back tomorrow because I won't be there.
Yeah, you won't.
No, I will not. But tomorrow we do get to go. I say we like I'm really a part of this, and I'm not. We're gonna go to the library in another town. I don't remember which town. And get that statue presented for his uncle that just passed.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
really?
I'll be videoing it.
Wow.
I know he said there was something that he was wanting to present for his uncle that he was going to be putting on the thing for Saturday.
That's what it is. He was alive when we asked about it, but it didn't get done till after he passed. So
Ah. So speaking of Saturday, there is a jam-packed marathon.
Jeez.
I'm gonna bring up the thing.
Kinda.
yeah, it's a good thing. We know they can see it.
Okay. So this is the 24 What am I hearing?
I
I
was
don't
about
know.
to say, what the hell was that?
It sounded like a soda opening.
Yeah, it was like a hissing sound.
Yeah, that wasn't me. I
It
already
wasn't
had my
me
I
either.
already had my drink before the show.
And I got a
My,
cup of water here, so I know it's not from me either.
me too. Nothing moved on my end.
All right, so Zach's got his annual 22-hour marathon. It will be starting at what time, Adrian?
It's going to start at 2 a.m. Saturday morning, Friday night, 2 a.m., and go till midnight Sunday morning.
Okay, so 2 a.m. your time, so that'll be 4 a.m. my time. That can't be right because
Okay, hey, beautiful.
he's got me in at hour 6, and I'm coming in at 9 o'clock. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Oh no, no. Okay, yeah, no, that's right. That's right. That's
You notice he's got like, the topics there, but then when it gets to me and Jan, he just says Adrian and Jan because he has no clue what we'll talk about.
Do you have a clue what you're going to talk about?
Um, yeah, kind of.
Okay,
Is it prepared? Absolutely not. We wing it.
that's how. That's more or less how it's going to be for me.
But it is nice because Jan has been a military wife. I have not. I've been married to military kids, but no. Um, but she has seen the good, the bad, the ugly, the really ugly. So it's really cool to be able to, and her and I talk all the time. So it's just like we're talking, we forget we're even on air.
Yeah. Well, what's going to be nice for Zach is that a lot of the early stuff he doesn't have to be a part of.
Right.
In the second hour, he got that special that Nick and Lois pre-record. Oh, no, are you a part of that, Nick, or is that just
No, that's just Wayne and Lois.
that's just okay? So Wayne and Lois have already pre-recorded their hour show and already sent it in. So Zach will be uploading that to play during the second hour. I will have the sixth and seventh hours, and it'll be a special edition of the 13th Dimension. It will actually be episode number 99.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah,
So got them all in now.
Awesome.
got it. Got it all down. I have Ed O'Neill coming on tomorrow night.
Oh, I want to see that. I
Yeah,
love that dude.
I got in touch with him Monday. Say, hey, you want to do a show?
I
He
love that dude.
right on. So he will be episode number 98 tomorrow. And
Okay.
then I will have Scott Wilson and Tim Kohler on with me Saturday morning. That'll be episode 99
Awesome.
in conjunction with the 22-hour marathon. And we will be talking about the VA and the frustrations that people have with them because there are so many
Yeah.
pleasantries about it.
I like that because then we have all aspects of this. We have, the suicide part of it and, the people's experiences with it, Jan's experience with being married to one. And then we have what people deal with afterwards, which is what you're going to be doing.
Say something, Zach. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I
Um,
muted him.
yeah, I was muted. Look, I'll be honest with you. I think it's fantastic that we got Willow from across the ocean.
Yep.
Who took and recorded something and has created it for us because it gives us an alternative view of what is going on in other countries. We know that our heroes aren't standing alone.
And
Nope.
not just that, it's not for our heroes, it's for everybody around the world. It's not isolated to America.
Yeah.
Well, and if you look in the case with Wayne, I mean, even though Lois and Wayne both live in the UK respectively, I mean, obviously Lois is in Scotland, but Wayne is in England respectively, and he served in the Royal Air Force
Right.
several years ago.
So that's why I like that we got the network involved in this, because the access to other people over there where they can talk about how things are going from their end.
Yeah. Yeah. It has really broadened, which Willow has actually been involved from the second one. She's actually been involved in it, and she's always so willing. She's awesome.
Yeah, and I just like to say, look, we've still got a couple of open spots available for people to come on and talk. We've got the topic lineup all set up, but you know what? If you want to pop on and tell our heroes that you stand with them, you're by them, you support them, I definitely invite you to come on. I mean, this is not look, we created it, but this isn't our show. This is about us standing together with people who are struggling. And there are things that there are things that you've done in your life that you struggled with, that you thought nobody else knew anything how to deal with it. The way that you got around it could really save someone else's life.
Definitely.
So where's the Nick Files at? I don't see it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't see Nick because I was working on the slideshow throughout this week, and I was gonna get it done either by tonight or sometime early tomorrow. So yeah.
Well, you get it to me, Nick, and I'll get it in there.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
That'll
I was getting a little nervous when I saw the list. I was thinking, wait a second, where's Nick Files?
Yeah, no, you get it to me, brother, and I'll get in there. So, all right.
All right, thank you, Zach.
All on Saturday.
Zach, that will free up yet another hour for you, because you were talking about the last 4 hours. So that
Yeah, the last 4 hours right now, you're going to see a lot of my ugly face listening to my voice.
I thought it was the last 6.
You know,
we've got a couple people who signed up today. So
Oh, good, because those last, I'm going to tell you right now, those last probably 10 hours. Okay.
Zach, I wanted to ask.
So good after 10, I promise you. So that's flying on autopilot the last few hours.
Yeah, I don't
Zach,
do the gummies.
I wanted to ask real quick for me to have do a Nick File. You know, what are the available times for me to come on and do the Nick Files episode?
You know what, Nick? Let's hook up tomorrow before after we go and we do my Uncle Barry's presentation. So let's hook up after noon Mountain Time, and we'll get it all figured out. Sound good, brother?
Okay, great. Yeah, that's perfect.
Sounds good. All right, we'll talk to you all later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zach.
We appreciate all your support. Just to let you guys know, the QR code that Jeremy is going to be sharing out periodically, that's going to help a current veteran or current service person in Colorado Springs who has a daughter who is wheelchair bound. They need to get their door widened and a wheelchair ramp built. We're trying to raise money for this.
I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
Where is it, Zach?
It should be in the layers.
Oh, okay.
Go over to the layers, Jeremy. There you go.
There we go.
And is that the place where you also the merch is all that's in there?
No, that's on the
okay.
website. But yeah, so if you want to pull that one up, that's fine. But yeah, the merch is on the website. So
yeah, so I want one of these. It's really cool. But we're also doing this year, which we had not done, I didn't do any of this. He did it. Which he's gone cooking dinner now. But anyway, we've also got a merch store now, which it's now got a bunch of, it's apparently the sweatshirts are discounted. Is that what it is?
Yeah, they're at a really decent price, like 30, 34, something like that.
Yeah. But anyway, there's all kinds of different things. And I definitely want one of these sweatshirts because they come in cool colors.
Oh.
We go. What are you doing? Are you getting it?
Yeah, I'm showing. So you guys can take and share it.
Okay.
So, folks, scan that QR code. There,
You can share it.
I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what you think I am.
So now, Jeremy, it's sitting up there. So
I was going to say I don't see shit. That's not the link. That's not helping.
I know, but you can send in the link. But now you can take and press on that sweatshirt on the other, on there, and you can show them like all the colors.
And yeah, how about I just share the link like I was going to do in the first damn place because I don't know what I'm doing.
Zach, you might as well just pull up a chair.
Yeah, really.
No, he needs to cook my dinner. I'm starving.
So yeah, but here's the, this is what the hoodie looks like, and there's like all kinds of colors: black, maroon, military green. I love this one.
Looks
But,
like baby poop.
Looks awesome. So, but yeah, those are, and then there's also short sleeve and long sleeve t-shirts as well.
Okay, so I sent that. Just pull the code from that. That was actually what we had posted. Just pull the code from it. Or the link, I mean. And we can get this off here now. What the hell? No! There. Fix it. Shit. No.
You seem to be the main focus of attention.
No.
Okay, I will be posting the link in the chat for all to see.
I know Willow was talking about getting something. It's really cool that we actually have that this year because when this started, there was really not a plan to this. Like, he didn't think it would turn out like it did. I didn't think it would turn out like it did, but it has really become a thing.
It really is. It's ironic because when I was doing her show earlier this afternoon, it was kind of ironic with what we were talking about. We were talking about haunted battlefields, and
I saw that.
It just gave me an idea. I thought to myself, you know what? That might be something I might consider also doing next year. Do like I'm doing with a top 10 with like hospitals. Maybe do like a top 10 battlefield next year.
That would fit in perfectly.
Yeah, and again, not just like you were just saying, not just here in the United States, but from around the world. In fact,
Absolutely.
we are at the end of the show. We came up with the idea of wanting to do a part 2, of haunted battlefields. And I thought, it'd be a really cool idea because we've had them watch our show a few times. And I told you guys about them, is that new group that I recently discovered, the Norwegian Ghost Hunters, in this case from Norway. They're bound to have because they, just like a lot of parts of Europe, they took part in World War II and some of the other wars. So there's no doubt in my mind that there's probably quite the amount of battlefields also in Norway, along with the other Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, and Iceland.
Yeah. Well, and I think the battlefields would be an amazing topic for this because, I mean, hospitals are as well, but the battlefields, if we can do something like, okay, this is what happened in this battlefield, this is where it was from, and
Normandy would definitely have to be one of those battlefields.
That's what we were talking about earlier today. Omaha Beach.
I mean, we're not going to find people that were actually there anymore.
Right.
But what we can do is, okay, this is what they were.
Don't be so sure of that. Remember when Dad and I went on the honor flight in April? They said they still had a number of people still alive from World War
I was going to say that was the other thing. There's still a lot of I mean, there's not as many, but even though it's unlikely that we may ever have people on who remember that day, there are still a number of these guys that are still alive today.
Yeah.
You're getting dizzy. Why, Joanne?
Oh, because we keep moving screens around.
Oh, Hey. But it would be really cool to do what
Hey, Joe.
happened there and how, if we can't find somebody who was actually there to recount, their in all reality, most veterans will not recount how they felt after or what
Right.
happened to them. So, maybe how we would feel if we were in that situation. And that way people can understand more of how they're feeling.
You know what would also be great too? Again, I know I just said this, so kind of repeating myself, even though it's obvious and very unlikely that we could bring somebody on, who obviously was there like during World War II. And even if they had all passed away like now, even though there's still a few left, we should also not forget the fact that a lot of them, yes, have passed, but there are plenty. There are, if not thousands, of descendants, grandkids, great grandkids that they probably heard the stories from their grandfathers. So even if a lot of these guys are gone, their grandkids could basically tell the stories of what their grandfathers told them before they passed away.
I don't know.
Yeah, I've got
Because
plenty of stories that Dad has told me from when he was in the Marines.
yeah, and a lot of them that witnessed terrible things, uh, they just don't talk
They're
about
never
that
the
part of
same.
it. And even we don't hear about it now. But let's be honest, the murder, the rape, all those things that happen in war is on TV constantly as a norm.
Yep.
But in war, but like just it's the norm. So when we hear these stories, or if they were to even tell these stories, a lot of times we'd look at it like, yeah, okay, because we think just because we see it on TV, if we saw it in real life, it wouldn't affect us. That's not the case.
Oh,
We're too desensitized at this point.
We are. And although I will say there was an exception, obviously, and this is something I brought up numerous times. In fact, I brought it up on the show, on Lowe's, the show earlier today. Again, despite that we've all become desensitized, undoubtedly, and again, I've told you guys about this movie before, what kind of really affected me, even though it was just a film, but still based on real events, undoubtedly was Saving Private Ryan. And it's
Yeah.
like, just see the raw horror of
Yeah.
what happens when it comes to war, and the reality is, when you look at something like in the case with World War II, even though Germany was the enemy at that time,
Hmm.
the reality is, it was there. It really goes to show that there are no winners. Whether you're on the ally side or you're on the enemy side, the whole thing is tragic to me. And the
everyone
people,
loses.
what's that?
Everyone loses.
Everyone loses, and people whichever side you were on, those who survived, they have to live with that forever, with what they witnessed. So that's why I think, regardless on whose side you are, the whole thing is tragic to me.
Well, and let's look at, and Jeremy knows this. Let's look at the people who actually did serve. And Joanne, I don't know if it's like this in other countries. Everybody in another country chime in. We are not taking care of our vets
We're
whatsoever
not.
at
We're not.
all. And, if they died, they were taken care of. Their burial was taken care of. They're good. But what about the ones that lived? I mean, yes, you see all these commercials and stuff about taking care of the vets. That's not many. It
It's
is
not
not. That
enough.
is not the norm. That is not how this works. Now, I will, on the other side of that, say when you're driving down big cities, we see it here. You'll see signs homeless vet. Now,
Yep.
2 out of 5 of those are real. It's reality, and it's reality because they have had mental issues when they come home that were not taken care of, or they couldn't get past. Okay. The other part of that is
Philip?
we're not taking care of them. We're absolutely not.
No.
Joanne says exactly there too in Canada. Lots are in the streets, no money for rent. So it's obviously not just here in the United States. Canada is also going through that
So,
too.
so
Why
it's a
is this
problem.
happening? I mean, why? And I don't understand. Government, military, it should be that that should be the staircase. Government, military, us after that, the working
I
class.
can't help it.
And yet the
I,
government have been wanting to take in all of these immigrants, illegal immigrants, house them, but not do anything for our veterans.
Yeah,
right. And I
I
just thought
don't
of
get it.
something. I just thought of something else because we talk about homeless vets, and this is dealing. And again, looking back in history, if you look at another big war, look at obviously for probably a lot of the veterans who served in Vietnam. A lot of those poor vets, again, same situation. They experienced a lot of horrific things while they were drafted, and some of them were forced to be drafted, obviously, right after they graduated high school. Unless they fled to Canada or Mexico, they were gonna fight in Vietnam.
No, the guy
So,
that I went to school with, he told me stories of how his dad was after he got home, and
Oh,
even 20 years later, how he was still reacting to things that was in his dreams.
yeah, and
right.
that's exactly because
And
I am, well, I'm 50 years old. When I was in school, let's say sixth grade, so 12 years old or so, 11. Um, there was a girl I went to go spend the night with, and of course, I'm doctor's daughter. I had no clue about any of the outside world. And this girl goes, "So do not get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night." I'm like, "What?" She said, "If he hears footsteps, he's going to come out with a gun and he has no clue what he's doing." I'm
Oh,
like, "Excuse
yeah.
me, what?"
remember that story.
Excuse me, what? And she said many times she'd be sitting there sleeping and he would have a gun. Oh, he would be standing over her with a gun. And luckily, as far as I know, he woke up and come to reality before he actually hurt her, but he'd always go back there. It's
Yeah.
like dementia. You live in the worst part of your life.
Joanne says it's a trigger. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Dementia patients, if you've ever been in a nursing home or worked in a nursing home, those their reality is the worst part of their life. It's what they remember. Rapes, incest, things like that. That is what they're reliving constant every day in and day out. A husband beating them, a wife leaving them. It's
Well, and that's what I was about to get to. Like when you see, like, let's say again, a lot of Vietnam vets, a lot of these guys who witnessed a lot of these horrific things when they were drafted again at only 17, 18 years old, and they were forced to fight when they didn't want to begin with, and then when they got home, they were expecting they were going to be American heroes, and that was not the case. There was actually, well, we talked about this too. If you look at a lot of, like, the motorcycle clubs, like even the outlaw ones, a lot of those obviously were created by former World War II Korean and Vietnam veterans. And in fact, one of the most notorious, in fact, I think he's still alive today, one of the original national presidents of the Mongols, had he served in Vietnam. And he said that when they came home, they were expecting that hey, Scott, they were expecting again that same expectation when they came back to the United States, but they didn't get any of that at all. They were literally spit on when they arrived at the airport, and that's what led them, of course, to create a club like the Mongols in this case. But it just goes to show, they, even after when they gave their service, that they got nothing out of it. So you can also kind of imagine too that, can you imagine how many veterans were homeless like during that time of Vietnam? Just imagine, the number had to have been much higher back then than it is now.
maybe,
Not,
but
I don't know exactly.
let's also look at. We don't talk about Desert Storm. All the recent in our lifetime wars. They're just like pushed aside like they didn't happen, like they didn't see anything terrible. You know they did. It was a war. I don't
Yeah.
care how little it was publicized here. It was a war, and so they saw things. And yes, we're more desensitized now than they were in the Vietnam War, but they had to live it. They had to do it.
We are at a time of our society where people openly mock
Yep.
those who have gone to war, those who have experienced, really horrible things. There are people, like you said, that are so desensitized. They point, laugh, mock them, but yet the people that they're mocking are still going through their own personal hell, their own war inside their heads,
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
that's why we
and
do
And,
this.
don't understand that.
Yeah.
and
And
Scott
that's why
just,
we do this. If you listen to a woman who has had a husband that they
hey,
had to
Denise,
deal with, if you listen to a woman who has dealt with a husband that has come home and, he's not the man that she married, he's not the man that she knew. She has to get to know him again
yeah,
with all of everything that happened to him. Now, most won't survive. They just don't survive that transition because that's not the man they knew. On the other side of that, he's also not the man that he knows.
no,
So, so where's he to go from here? He's supposed to just come back to reality like nothing ever happened and forget it and it's done after what do they call that when they come home? Debrief?
oh, I can't remember. I
Isn't
know
it
what you're talking
debriefing
about.
them?
What's that?
Is it called debriefing them?
It's something
Well,
like I know what you're talking about. I just can't remember the word.
Ethan is more of, see if I got it right. A lot of times when people come from a mission, when they debrief, that is when they fill in their superiors what happened on that mission.
Okay.
Well, one other thing I want to point out, and I just want to, it's something what Scott had said, like how I just mentioned about the MCs. MCs allow veterans to retain the brotherhood they had in the service, which I've heard numerous times because they all experience it themselves. And they
Absolutely.
believe that it
Okay.
was that kind of belief system that, they all went through the same thing. They went through hell. They're the only people that they could relate of what they experienced. That same guy that I was telling you about, again, who was one of the original presidents of the Mongols Club. He actually has said in interviews that when they first formed it back, I think it was 1969 they first formed.
Mhm.
He didn't join until 1972, but he had admitted that even when he joined, he didn't even know that most of these guys were Vietnam veterans themselves because they never talked about it. All they wanted to do was to associate with each other, ride motorcycles, try to get a normal job, and most importantly, try to get their lives back together.
The similarity there because from Zach, and I'm sure Scott would chime in if I'm wrong, um, or if I'm not. Um, but I think the similarity there is within a motorcycle club. It doesn't matter what motorcycle club. Within a club, there's that I'll die for you, I'll kill
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
And that's what they need. That's what they're used to. That's what they've been programmed to do. Now we also have the ones that they didn't know what they were going into, like you said.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a shock. Like if you were to go, let's put it that way. If you were to go, you've never seen a murder. You've never been made to rape somebody that's on the opposing side. You've never seen, your friend's guts hanging out.
Yeah. Or
Neither have
lose
we.
a limb.
So if we were to get put there, and so many people, when I was going to high school, I vividly remember this girl saying, my brother we couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. Finally, the teacher asked her in front of the class, and she shouldn't have done that because now we all know. But she asked her, she said, what's going on? She said, my brother called a week ago and said, if I disappear, it's because of this.
Hmm.
And he was on some mission, and I don't know if he opened his mouth. I don't know if it was a mission that they knew they were going to kill him after he finished this because he couldn't tell anybody. It would be like equated to being with the aliens. An alien landed, the government got him, and you were in there with that alien.
Right.
Well, they're not going to want you to tell what you really saw, and the people that know you're not lying. So he disappeared. It happens a lot. It does, and it's been happening for years and years. And they
Yes.
also do experiments on the military with the vaccines, the different things. I mean, they belong to the government while they're there. They actually belong to them. They don't have a mind. They don't have.
Their property.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And you don't realize how much they really are. They don't realize how much they really are until they're there. Too late then. And then what happens when they come home? If their
That's-
wife happens to leave,
Yeah, I mean, it's like their lives are changed forever. And just like with what Joanne and Scott said, brotherhood, absolutely, there's a bond that can't be taken away. I think that's what we see a lot. I mean, and it's not just a matter of, like I just brought the aforementioned motorcycle clubs. I think and it's not even just a recent thing that we've seen where, I think this is something that's been going on, for decades, if not for centuries. And I think it happens in most wars where a lot of these guys, they fight, and those that manage to survive, they come home, and they're obviously very heavily affected, after spending so much time, fighting for the country, and they're just looking for a brotherhood. It's not even their family that they're trying to look for. They're just looking for a brotherhood of some sort.
that's if their family has turned away, which so many come home and their wife is pregnant by their best friend, or their wife is gone, or their husband nowadays, has messed with the neighbor, whatever the case might be. So if they were not to have their home that they left, and I've seen this on a show that had nothing to do with this. It was actually on like one of those cops movies,
Oh, yeah.
and it was a lesbian couple, and she was out and surprised her with a visit. She was on deployment and surprised her girlfriend with a visit, and her girlfriend had a guy there. And of course, all hell broke loose. But the point of it was, how is she to deal with this now? Because now she doesn't have her home anymore either. Because they took her away because she went apeshit. And understandably, she went apeshit. So,
Yeah, because
now where
you're
she's
expecting one thing and have something completely different.
Yeah. So now that she loses her home, the government, okay, so we can provide food stamps for people. And I'm not saying anything bad against any of this. I'm just saying we can provide food stamps. We can provide Section 8 housing. We can provide health care. But I promise you, these people that are at the VA are not getting that health care. Our dad cannot get teeth. It's poisoning his body and he's about to die. So, but he cannot they're telling him he has to pay $3,000 to get his teeth done.
Oh my
Excuse me?
Yeah,
What?
I found out why. I did some digging around on there, and the VA says that they won't cover dentures because they don't consider that as an injury that happened during their time in service.
Right?
Just,
Okay, so if that's the case, then why did they cover my dad's glasses?
yeah, really.
And
His
there
eyesight
was,
didn't go bad because of anything.
oh my gosh. You guys may have seen this also. It was actually a friend of mine, but I saw it on TikTok. It went viral. Um, her dad had been sick, and he had Agent Orange. They knew that, that.
That's what Joanne was saying. Something orange. Yeah, it was Agent Orange.
Yeah. They knew he had that. He had been, living with it as much as you can live with it, which his uncle had the same thing. Um, and that affects your kidneys, your liver, things like that. He had been to the VA 10 years before. And then he was going back to the VA, and they told him, they took away his oxygen. They said, you have to quit smoking or you don't get oxygen. Okay, I get that. Okay, fine. I can do that. He did. Then they took away his pain pills. Mind you, he is dying. He's sick. They took away his pain pills. Said you can't have these. So he went to the ER because he was hurting so badly. He's in his probably late 70s now. And the doctor did some work and walked back into him and his daughter and said, how long have you had bone cancer? He said, I don't. He said, you absolutely do. And that's why you're hurting. They took away his pain pills. And so he goes, let me make a phone call. Give me a minute. He went out, called the VA, asked for the records. It was on the records for 6 years. They never told him.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
They would not tell him he had it. My ex-father-in-law, his records were blacked out in places, and he can't get the originals. He don't even know what's wrong with him.
That's crazy.
Something is very wrong with this system.
It
Very
really
wrong. But these people that just don't want to work and want to pop out kids like it's a hobby can get anything they damn well want. Everything's paid for. And they get that tax return, times however many kids. Something is wrong with this system. People need help, absolutely. But what about our vets? What about...
The system has been wrong for decades.
But they allowed us to have the freedoms we have right now. Why are we paying football players to chase around a football, which I don't give a shit about football. It's obviously, but people looking like they're in tights fucking a football. They're getting paid a lot of money.
Well, that money is coming from all the sponsorships.
I know, but it's still not right.
You're right.
Why are we sponsoring our vets? I mean, I don't get it. We have a friend. You know who I'm talking about. We have a friend who was just out doing her thing. And what if something happened to her? What if she were to be deployed? Who would take care of her child?
Right.
Which I understand they do have provisions for that.
What
But
I'm thinking of, I think she just re-enlisted.
she did. She did. And that's why I'm saying, what if something happened to her? This is not okay. None of this is, and I understand why they're committing suicide.
Scott, is there something you and I need to talk about?
I can understand that too. I mean, I just don't understand. And it's not this government. I'm not talking bad about this government. It's been going on. This is not new.
Well, as like Joanne had said, I mean, it's happening in Canada also, so it's obvious we're not the only ones. It's happening in several other countries.
So how about this? How about everybody just doesn't fucking enlist?
Well, and
Everybody just stops doing it and see.
Well, if they do that, then they will install the draft.
yeah.
And we're also a little different these days. They can do that, and that's perfectly fine. And some people may just leave the country.
Well, and that's if the draft was what was the word you said, Jeremy? You would say
I said reinstalled, but that's probably
if they reinstalled the draft, you're
probably
gonna
not the right word for it.
okay. Well, either way, yeah, you would have. Yeah, I mean, you would have a lot of people leaving the country. I mean, not just to Canada, but just wherever they can get to, so they don't have to
Well,
fight.
see that's the problem. Then they will start focusing, all of their energies into draft dodgers and doing the
Yeah.
expedites,
Yeah.
Yeah,
expedite people coming in.
expedite. Yeah, I
That's
mean,
a whole
yeah,
nother
expedite.
mess.
There's no right way to go about this. I mean, as far as there's not going to be a good way. But what I'm saying is, if they don't take care of their vets, why are people enlisting still? Stop.
Yeah,
Show them.
this is just my personal opinion because I've seen a lot of it. Obviously, I mean, most of the countries have not been doing that. Like a lot of countries have not been doing that, but the only country that I really think is really giving word about their veterans and also for those who are currently in the military undoubtedly would have to be Ukraine, obviously, because the president of Ukraine, I know he's been speaking out a lot again, about his military, which is just you just don't see that very often.
You know
It's just,
what? He also went out there with his military. He fought with
he
his
did.
military.
He
I have all
did.
the respect in the world for that man.
Oh, I do too. And for him to speak out, not only just for the people of Ukraine, but to also for his military. That is the truest way that anybody could speak for the military and let them know, how they've been, what they've been going through, how much progress they've been making, with Russia. And you could tell he has the most ultimate respect for the Ukrainian military.
Yeah,
Well,
he will protect them. But
yeah,
one
Right
thing for
now,
sure,
they're facing a major mess when it comes to U.S. relations.
yeah, they are, and they're also, and not surprisingly, they're also considering about applying membership to be part of NATO, which is, that's to be expected. But here's the other. I mean, that's great on Ukraine's side, but let's also kind of see again on the enemy's side of point of view. In this case, Russia, and I've seen a lot of this too. With Russia, it's the opposite end. Putin has said nothing at all about even about his military, in this case invading Ukraine. To him, they're just the Russian military is just they're just pawns to him, and he just shows no sympathy or respect for his military whatsoever. Even though Russia is the one that was causing the invasion, regardless of the fact, you're supposed to still respect your military and veterans, and
no,
he is not.
When it comes to dictators, they don't give a damn
They,
about.
they don't, and you guys have heard he's now bringing in criminals, including even like child sex offenders, like murderers, like just trying to get anybody he could to fight. And those aren't. I mean, I can even already say those aren't true veterans or military. Those are just people that have committed horrific crimes, and he's just using them to his advantage. While the real veterans and soldiers, yeah, he just sees them nothing more than, again, like I said,
I,
like property.
it's nothing new. I mean, my dad, do you remember the Iron Curtain falling?
Yeah.
My dad was part of that before it fell. He escaped Bulgaria when Russia took it. And a lot of his friends got killed. In Bulgaria, you had to become military. As soon as you left school, you had to become military, like Ed said. Um, and you had to do, I think it might have been 4 years. I don't remember. But part of his military was when Russia first came in. And they had to go euthanize all the animals. He had to go door to door and euthanize everybody's pets
Oh,
in front of
that
him.
had been horrible.
It absolutely, and he was a vet, or he
Oh,
became a vet. I don't know if he was then,
my
but he
God.
became a vet. Um, I wish I'd listened a little better when he was telling these stories, but I was young and I did not. But I know the horrific. He wasn't allowed to have a cross because you could not be Christian, and you were not allowed to have gold. This is like Viking times. Could not have gold. So they escaped with the gold cross. Him or my mom had told us, I don't know. But they turned it into wedding rings once they got to, let's see, there was a, like Mexico, they have the mules and whatever that
Yeah.
will help you get out and whatever. They're not mules. That's the wrong word. Anyway,
No,
they're
it's
rides that help you get out.
yeah, there's
Um,
another word for it.
yeah. Um, but they had that on a bigger scale. They went to Italy and they had to stay in Italy until they found them a place in America. I mean, it was like a big organized thing and they happened to get out. But, the Russian government has not changed whatsoever.
Well, and I remember a few years ago, probably about almost a year into the
Donkey.
war between Ukraine. Oh, donkey, that's what it is. Yeah. Um, about a year into the war with Ukraine and Russia, there was one occasion where two Russian soldiers were caught, and obviously they were arrested. And in fact, my dad was watching it as usual. I mean, he doesn't watch. He was, just so you know, he doesn't watch as much as you. This was back when he used to watch CNN a lot, and
Mhm.
they showed. I don't know if it was live or if it was just a pre-record, but they had these two Russian soldiers that were interviewed, and they clearly saw two. I mean, two things. Obviously, not only did they realize that they had been caught, but they obviously knew that they were in serious trouble.
Yeah.
And the other thing they saw was they realized that this was all a dictatorship. They realized that this whole thing was never right to begin with. And they even said, even though they all, I mean, obviously they had closed captions because they were speaking in Russian.
Yeah.
They even said, you know, I don't know if these were the exact words, but they said something very much like, and as Russian soldiers, as for the people, no, excuse me, as for the people of Ukraine, we are terribly sorry for what we Russians have done to your country. And even though they've realized it, now look where they are.
Yeah.
They're most likely going to be in prison for the rest of their lives. And not only that, they're going to have to live with the memories of what they had to deal with again while they were being out there and trying to invade and fight.
We're going full circle is what's happening.
We
Like,
really are. We really
like
are.
let's look at, I know Jeremy has, I don't know if you have, Nick, watch these Viking shows, right?
I haven't.
I've seen maybe one or two, but for the most part, I haven't.
Okay, so we've been watching series of them. So even what they call shield maidens, women that would want to go fight, they would go fight, kill anything, invade towns, kill, and not think a thing about it. They had their kids with them. It did not matter. And then somehow we became civilized where we didn't do that. And it was a shock to people when they did have to kill someone in war, whatever. And now we're going back to it's really not a shock when somebody shoots somebody in front of you as a civilian.
Right.
That's not okay. I mean, there is something not okay. We're going full circle. Something's really, really not right with this whole thing. Maybe that's the way it's supposed to be, but it's not okay.
It seems like human society is devolving,
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
and we're going back to those primal instincts. The not primal, maybe actually,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah, very much so. Like primal instincts.
yeah. So now it's getting to where, yeah, I will fight you at the drop of a hat,
Yeah.
or worse.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
and to be honest, in a way, it's not all that surprising when you consider the how divided the people are, especially when it comes to the political side of everything.
And also, when you have a political person or more than one that make fun of the military,
Yeah.
make fun of someone's injuries, that, they couldn't raise their hand because they were injured
They
in
didn't, or
war
they didn't,
long ago.
or they didn't
Um,
have a hand or arm at all.
yeah. And they're making fun of somebody who is mentally and physically challenged. So now when we see our leaders making fun of people that way, it becomes okay to make fun of people that way. It becomes a norm, and it absolutely should not be, and it is not okay.
No.
And why are people not seeing this? I don't understand.
I don't understand either. And I've said this. You guys probably heard me say this before. I have said, like, when that particular individual, as you guys probably know who I'm talking about, I said, when he said the things about our veterans, I said, what he has said has just absolutely disgusted me. Not just as a person that's been against him since day one, but most importantly, as a relative of those who served in America's only losing war.
Anybody who served in any capacity should not. I mean, when you go to the military, there is always that chance you're there for a set amount of time, unless, of course, there's a reason that they kick you out. But you're there, and there's always that chance, and you know that when you go in, that you may have to give your life. You know this. This is not new.
You're basically being sent to die in a way.
Well, no, but,
Not maybe not that, but there's a good likelihood that you will die.
and you know this going in, but yet you're treated like a piece of shit when you come out, like you were the problem when you were taking orders from the highest up. I,
No, I just think to myself,
It's sad that the soldiers are the ones that are being treated like the bad guys when really it is people much higher up that are making the decisions and making you do this.
yeah,
right.
And it's either you do this or you will go to jail, or you do this or your family will be killed.
yeah, or you disappear.
Yeah, or you die yourself. I mean, it's like it's almost it's like what you see sometimes with some of these modern gangs. It's like you're in that situation that if they tell you to kill someone, it's like that situation where it's like, I got to kill you or I'm going to get done. Well, if it's me or you, that person's going to be dead.
Blood in, blood out. That's, yeah,
Yeah.
same kind of thing. Same mentality. And
I can see it in certain situations, like when they went after Bin Laden.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
completely justified.
oh yeah. And some of it is justified. It's how they're treated when they come home.
Yeah.
That's the problem I have.
Well,
And it's not that we spit on them or do anything like that now, but it is becoming normalized to talk to them that way, to talk about them that way, to treat them that way. That no, and not give them any health care, not give them anything that they should have for the rest of their lives. The president, if you've ever been a president, you get X amount of dollars for the rest of your life, plus CIA, plus whatever else you get. You have that.
You choose to accept it.
Yeah, yeah. And
you know,
they get nothing. I mean, they might get treated for whatever happened there, like you said, but they're not getting, they don't have health care, where the rest of us, if we decide one day, I just don't want to work anymore, we can go get on government health care and have it paid for the rest of our lives. Food stamps, the rest of our lives. Just because we don't want to work.
I just thought of this. Again, I'm not sure if I told you guys this before. There was a veteran that I did. This was about almost 15 years ago now, and this was about a year before my grandfather passed away. Which, again, both my grandfathers served in World War II. Sadly, this was my dad's dad. My mom's dad passed away over 25 years ago in 2000. So my grandfather was 95, 96 years old when he passed, and he was living. It was temporary. He was living in kind of one of those retirement homes, kind of not a retirement home, but just like a temporary facility.
A rehab?
Yeah, like rehab. And when we were there, we met. I ended up meeting an old man that was just a few rooms down from where my grandfather was. I don't remember his name, and he too was like in his late 80s, early 90s, if I can recall. Again, I can't remember his name, but he too also served during World War II, and he started telling me and my parents, about what he went through. I didn't even ask him. He just started telling, what he remembered when he served during the war. And at one point, he then asked me, saying, "Well, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?" And of course, I told him that at that time I was 19 years old.
Mhm.
And he immediately says, "I was the same age you were when I went into this war." And after a few minutes, when he started talking about it, not surprisingly, he just started breaking down in tears. It had been at that time, it had been almost 70 years since World War II ended. And it was obvious that no matter how much time has passed, decades in this case, that it was still, he looked at it like it was like yesterday to him. It was still playing in his head. And when he started tearing up, you could literally tell that he was reliving it. Even he was literally telling me at the age I was at that time, he had best friends of his who literally were
That puts it in a different perspective because he was at the age of you are, and it's like, oh shit, I could be over there right now.
that's exactly how I felt, because he was saying he had best friends of his dying in his arms, and it just got me thinking that this
And
could
he
have
was
been me.
still a kid when he went over.
What's that?
He was still a kid when he went
He
over.
was still a kid when he was over, and I was still a kid at that time when he was telling me the story, and realizing that it could have been me that had gone through. And when he explained, all of that, I mean, I had the most absolute respect for him, and I just thought to myself, even then, I hope he's getting the support, everything that he deserved for what he went, what he served now over 80 years ago. Although sadly, he passed away 2 years later.
His
So
life ended at
his
that
life ended.
point.
His life ended. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, even though it had been almost 70 years since that time when when he was fighting in World War II, and knowing what he went through, you could clearly tell that after decades, he was never the same person. And that's why I'm just even still hoping to this day, even though I never really saw him again afterwards, and knowing that he passed away, I just really hope he got the recognition and the support that he got, because if he didn't, I would feel so sorry for him. Like, what you were just explaining, Adrian, just knowing that a lot of our veterans are not getting what they should deserve. It worries. It's even though this guy's been dead for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
I would say that if he was a vet of World War II, he was probably treated quite a bit better than how our current veterans are.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope he was. Yeah. But yeah, that's still a story that still sticks to me to this day.
Oh yeah, a story like that you don't forget.
He was obvious, again, being a kid myself that time. He was obviously telling me this almost. I mean, he was also kind of telling me this in a way, very much as if I was his grandson.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably what he saw was, this, my life, your life is not going to change like mine is. Mine did. And I'm happy for that.
And again, telling me that he was the same age I was at that time.
Yeah.
He was basically trying to tell me enjoy with what you got and value your life every day. Because when I was your age, I was exposed to a whole different world that most people will never, in most of their lifetime, will ever see.
Right.
That's right. He sure was. But, we have to do what we can to help him now. Help all of them.
Well,
Now.
help them, help others like him, because, like I said, he's passed away.
Yeah. But, his brothers and sisters, all brothers from then and sisters now, are still there.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's and I shudder to think what is going to happen over the next couple of years
Yeah.
because
I
the
know.
tension's rising. It's the tension is rising. You can see it. You can feel it. Um, and and the crazy thing is that it's not going to be just America against whatever country.
No.
Soon it's going to be America versus America.
Yep.
And
Country,
America versus the world, because nobody can shut the hell up.
country is just such a powder cake right now. Everything's so intense that the slightest issue or something definitely can generate basically a new type of civil war, or even worse.
I'm surprised that another civil war hasn't happened yet.
That's what I mean. Eventually, all the groups are going to go up.
Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, honestly, I mean, with what we've been hearing now, and I'm sure you guys have seen the advertisements, and not just America against America. I'm sure you guys have seen those new advertisements of like Canada is not for sale or something. I'm starting to see other ones like that, like Greenland and even Mexico. In fact, believe it or not, it's like the whole continent is going to be at war with America itself.
Yeah, it's getting there because now we're picking a fight with Mexico all over a stupid name,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden, he wants to get all of Canada to be one state. That's not going to
Yep.
happen.
That is definitely not. And then let's not forget, most importantly, trying to get Greenland, which it may be part of North America, but that belongs to Denmark.
Well, the thing is, it's none of our business. They've been doing fine without us. We can't handle our own business. It's none of their business.
Well, for starters, and I know I've said this before, like in the case with Greenland, that has belonged to Denmark since the 1600s for 400 years. And as far as I'm
It's a matter if somebody wants that country for the oil reserves, that's what he's going to do,
yeah,
and that's why I think he's going after Canada as well for the oil reserves.
yep.
So we've got 22 hours after tomorrow to talk about this. I want to hear about the guy you were going to talk about. I'm going to grab a drink and I want to hear this.
The guy that we were going to talk about.
Yeah, what was it we were going to talk about? That we've been going to do it for 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, it starts with an M.
Yeah.
Well, I know I was wanting to talk about Puma Punka.
Well, that's it. That's
There
it.
we go.
Okay, it started with a P. I thought it was an L, but no, it was P.
I would actually like to put that off at least another week.
Are you
Okay.
sure?
There is something that I am interested in talking about. I think we might have talked about it before on the show, especially after it was destroyed. The Georgia Guidestones.
Oh yeah,
We
yeah.
talked about that.
I don't think we did. I've only heard a few details about it, so I don't really know the full story about it.
It's actually very, very interesting. I'll wait till Adrian gets back. But I have been watching this show.
Oh, Decoded.
Yeah.
Is that Is that a new show, or is that an older one?
It's an older one. It was let me see here. This show 15 years ago.
Oh, so around 2010.
Yeah. This show this show is so incredibly good. So the bald guy, that's Brad Meltzer. He is a best-selling author. He he writes political thrillers.
Okay.
I immensely enjoy his books.
Oh, nice.
Um, in fact, while I was in Colorado, when Zach and I went to that Habitat for Humanity store,
Hmm.
and I came away with a shitload of books for less than $5. One of those books was a signed copy of his debut novel.
Really?
Yeah, so it to me that's a treasure.
That really is. It really is.
So so he had three people do these road trips going around and investigating and questioning people about the true stories behind certain things in our history.
Hmm.
And the episode that I was watching was about the Georgia Guidestones. They've also talked about, is there gold in Fort Knox? Um, the supposed missing cornerstone of the White House.
I have seen that.
Let's see. The truth about D.B. Cooper. Mount Rushmore and its possible connection to the KKK.
Hmm.
That one was an interesting episode. But the Georgia Guidestones, for those that are not familiar with the Georgia Guidestones, it used to be a almost like a Stonehenge in Georgia. Let
Now, are
me
we talking about the actual country of Georgia or the state of Georgia?
state.
Oh, the state. Oh, wait. You know what? Actually, I think I did hear something. Okay, now that you said that, that's starting to sound a little bit more familiar now.
Yeah, it was in Elbert County, Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah, Albert County.
So the Guidestones, it's like four te- four very large slabs standing up, a fifth slab in the middle, and there is a platform on top.
Hmm.
On each side of those guide stones is sort of like a modern day Ten Commandments in four different languages. I'm sorry, eight different languages. And the very first commandment is maintain a world population of 500 million. The last time this planet had 500 million was back in I think it said 1600.
Okay.
And this is a guide stone that was put up 45 years ago saying we need to get our population down to that.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Our population in 1980, I think it was 4.4 billion. We've almost doubled that in 45 years.
Oh
oh, my
yeah,
God. That's incredible.
yeah.
Three
I,
years
I
ago, 3 years ago, the Guidestones was destroyed. Somebody had
Hey,
set
Heather.
a bomb. Hello, somebody had set a bomb, um, and it destroyed one of the slabs, and I think it damaged two others. But
well,
it was so unstable that they had to take the whole thing down.
well. Let's look at all these diseases we got now. They're working on it.
Well, see,
Yeah.
that's what I'm kind of leading towards. Um, on the show they were interviewing a guy, and he was saying that there are signs in place that he sees around the world where in the next few years there's going to be a severe decline in the human population.
Yeah.
And sure enough, 10 years later, after that episode, we had COVID.
Yep.
It
Yep.
didn't quite do the damage what they anticipated it to do,
Yep.
but
And
it
now,
still did a lot of damage to us.
and now we're, I don't know if we're building an immunity. I don't know if it's, but more people are surviving. So now they got to come up with something different.
Yeah, they really do.
Oh, here's what I heard. Um, I think I want to say it was Sylvia Brown.
Hmm.
She said something along the lines of that there was going to be a deadly disease coming around about the same time the COVID did, and it would disappear as quick as it came.
Yeah.
10 years later, it will come back tenfold.
I believe that.
So that would be 2030 then.
Um, Give or
Well,
take.
or somewhere in the early 2030s.
Yeah,
And
that was
most
her
of us
prediction. Now,
should
keep
be
in mind,
living.
we are talking about Sylvia Brown, somebody who had been discredited numerous times,
Yep.
but it is kind of hard to ignore the fact that COVID came and COVID went.
Yep.
Yep.
So now, when she made that prediction, I don't know.
Well, hell, we could discredit anybody because nobody is 100% right.
Exactly.
Very true.
So we could discredit any one of us.
Yeah.
But
It's just the
I
bottom
mean,
line.
there's lots of predictions that have been right on. Um, how they're doing it, I don't know. I wouldn't want to be the one to see what they see or how they know. That would be hard.
It makes me very interested in Nostradamus. Um, because they said that he did predict a lot of what's coming in the Revolutionary War,
Yep.
um, World War II. Supposedly, he predicted 9/11.
But let's think about it. If it was us predicting something, even in the near future, it wouldn't matter if it was 100 years from now or 10 years from now. Because you're so far removed from it that you think, okay, well, this is what I saw. You write it down, but you really don't picture yourself in it
You,
and how
you,
it
you
really
know you know who our modern day Nostradamus is right now?
happened.
The Simpsons.
Yeah. Oh, that is so true. Yes.
Yeah.
They
Well,
projected so much that's happened.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't watch them and I don't want to
Oh,
watch
I've
them.
watched them.
Because I have seen scenes where people are posting, even down to Trump being president,
Yeah.
before he became president the first time.
Yeah.
And who
Yeah.
would have ever thought he had his own conglomerate bullshit going on. He had his TV show, all that good stuff. Nobody would have ever thought, oh yeah, he's going to be president.
No.
And people would have
No.
laughed at it. And they did laugh at it. That was the whole point. But
Right.
then for it to happen,
Well, that was what I read, that they were trying to come up with scenarios that were so ridiculous that it couldn't possibly happen, but yet all of this shit's happening.
Yep. Exactly. I mean, it's just being brought to reality so incredibly quickly.
so
For,
that
for
begs the
all we
question.
know, that episode was the original thought process of him even considering becoming president.
So
Yep.
maybe not on this big scale that we're talking about right now, but that begs the question. People have talked about, what do we call that? The uh, thin man. You guys have heard of the thin man?
Slim man, slim.
Slender Man.
Okay. Yes.
Slender Man. Yeah.
Yes. So we have that. We have, the Hat Man. We have so many different things. So did maybe one person put it out there? We all know you can manifest shit.
Yeah, you can.
You can, your thoughts, your emotions, your emotions can manifest a poltergeist.
Even they've actually, even Paranormal Caught on Camera has said that, on several occasions about something being brought into reality.
I
Don't
don't
look at Stephen King.
know, but
He
Stephen
wrote
King.
the Stand COVID game.
Yep.
He wrote the Dead Zone. People equate that to Donald Trump.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
I mean,
Animals go rabid all the time.
there was they actually did a timeline when the first Thin Man came out on paper. Somebody drew
Oh,
it.
Slender Man.
Yeah. They had it on paper, somebody drew it. They did a timeline. And when this one person drew it, I don't remember if it was a kid or adult. That wasn't even relevant. But now everybody's seeing it.
Yep.
All of a sudden everybody's seeing it for a few years.
Yeah, and
Then it
they're
went away.
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it was a huge. I could still recall again as a teenager and person in in his early 20s. I can remember that so clearly how popular he became. Of course, a lot of his popularity was lost after, of course, as we all know, there was the Wisconsin stabbing that involved those 12-year-old girls. Um, I mean, it was just all that popularity kind of came to an end. But yet, there was still a share of interest in that figure, and even that involved the fascination with Slender Man. And if you guys didn't know, there were actually 3 more crimes that followed in after that incident up in Wisconsin, and except for one, all of the others were kids involved. And then of course a few years later, and this is what Paranormal Caught on Camera showed, was supposedly a legitimate video of people that encountered a real life Slender Man.
Yeah, and one person saw it, dreamed it. I don't know how it came about, but it got put out there in the universe. So now everybody's seeing it. Then we have the black-eyed children.
Yes.
More recently, we had Momo.
Momo. Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that.
So somebody, whether they saw it, I don't know. I mean, I'm not in their head. Whether they saw it, whether they conjured it, whether they put it out there in the universe. All it takes is one
It does. It
to
really
put
does.
it out there,
Station is very real.
and then everybody sees it.
See, it's one of those things that everybody is under the impression that we've heard it. I mean, this is kind of more from especially a paranormal side. As kids, we were always told by our parents, obviously, there's no such thing as this, no such thing
Yeah.
as ghosts or monsters or anything like that.
Yep.
But but chances for you to be saying that there's a monster in your closet or whatever the case it could be, and even just by bringing up such words of something like that or having just those thought patterns, yeah, it may not have been real to begin with, but because you're so deep in your thoughts and you're talking, that could eventually cause it to be real. So what was once an entity where we always were said there's no such thing. I'm sorry to put it, but now there is such a thing as it.
Well, since we're going to be putting things out there in the universe to make them come true, let's put this out. Jeremy York, New York Times best-selling author.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's put that out there. Let's make that a reality, folks.
Yeah.
Well, But let's look at it from the other side. This is my belief. We're told as children, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. You're not seeing that monster under the bed. You don't see what you say you're seeing in the closet. You're not. So we close off to it. And our mind says, no, we don't. We train our mind to say, nope, that's not what we see. So later in life, we really don't see it like we did when we were children.
Right.
So there's both aspects of that. And which one's real, I don't know. But I read something yesterday that was pretty powerful. We all know each other's religious beliefs. And this is not bashing anybody's, but it was a little statement that said, as a child, we're told that God loves us, that he'll do anything for us, that he protects us. And the same sentence, we're told if we do something wrong, he's going to throw us in a fire. And then we're told, then later we grow up, we're reading the book, and God had asked one of his disciples to kill their own child. And, they go through all that, and it's like, you're looking at it going, whoa, I was just programmed to just go along with this and not even think about, wait, this is supposed to be a loving God, yet he does this and he tells me this and he's going to throw me in a fire if I don't do what I'm supposed to do. And, it's your program. So you're not thinking for yourself. But when you go on the outside of it and you're looking in going, okay, so man wrote this Bible. Some of this shit's bullshit.
Yeah, like I heard this from a show. I can't remember. Like, it might have been one of those cop shows, and I think they were interviewing some crazy priest or something like that. And they go like, "Bible says that my daughters could be sold into slavery on Sundays be sold into slavery if I don't go to church on Sunday."
Right.
He said, "Yeah, I read that plenty of times at Catholic school. Yeah, I know that's not true."
What kind of leader would test one of his people's loyalty by commanding him to kill his own son?
And if you love everybody, why are you killing a child? An
Right.
innocent person, a child. So one of two things has happened. Either man has put their own spin on some shit that's not true, or this God
Moses wrote up a story he made up in his head.
Yeah.
Right.
or this God is very vengeful, and that's not okay. So
Definitely
either way, something is not quite right in the stories.
We've already determined he is vengeful, just specifically from the Noah's Ark story. And then there is
All the languages, splitting all the languages.
that's another one. The one I'm thinking of is the Tale of the Two Cities. Sodom. This is the one where a family flees one of the cities, never to look back, but two of the girls did turn back to look, and they turned into pillars of salt.
Oh, yeah, that's
Sodom and some.
Gorman.
yeah. Hold on a second. How do you spell
One
Sodom?
starts with an S, the other starts with a G.
Yeah, Gorman,
And-
Samada and Gorman. Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
Here, I'm looking up right now.
Sodom.
Sodom and
They took the word sodomized from that.
Yes.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Gomorrah. Yes.
Oh, in fact, there's even a 1962 movie based on that.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
But and that's why now people are thinking for themselves and questioning. Okay, is this number one God real? Is number two, if he is he this vengeful asshole? Or did people start writing some bullshit?
I think that somebody was real and people look to this guy as God. But I wonder if God was a supreme leader of a species
Yeah.
that came to this planet.
Well, we've
Oh,
been
I
hearing
absolutely
about it.
believe there's a God. There's absolutely a God. Now, is it the God that we're told? Maybe not.
Well, and when you really think about it too, because we're starting, you hear this time and time again. I mean, this even goes through to the extraterrestrial subject matter, where you've had people who were abducted or they've had contact with extraterrestrial beings, and they find out too that some of them have the same belief, the same God in their belief system, but there are occasions where, yeah, they might believe there are several differences to what their culture is compared to ours.
Right.
So therefore, like you just said, it may not be the same God that we anticipate that we believe in, because who knows? Maybe whatever species, extraterrestrial species is out there, maybe they're actually worshiping the true God. Obviously, we just don't know.
And what I've heard more than anything is that, when people die, when people, obviously we have preconceived notions of what we believe, and some have no notion because they don't know. So when people die and come back, the NDEs, some have seen green fields, some have seen lights, like this warm glowing light that they're just drawn to. Some have seen what they picture as God. So, is it in that state where maybe we picture what we want to, what we know, or they're showing us what we know and what we're familiar with? I don't know. But everybody has said that it's this calm, and you don't want to go back because
Right.
it's just this calm, warm, light feeling.
I'm looking at a list right now called the Lost Books of the Bible. The most famous one is the Book of Enoch,
Mm-hmm.
but there are quite a few others here that I did not realize. One is the Lost Gospel of Peter, the Book of Jesus Christ, the
I
Gospel of Nicodemus,
I didn't know about any of those.
yeah, the Epistle of a shitload of them. Um, the Epistle of Paul, the Apostle of the Laodiceans. And then there's another one, the epistles of Paul the Apostle to Seneca, with Seneca's to Paul. I don't know what that is.
I never heard of them.
The Acts of Paul in Thecla, the epistles of Clement, the epistle of Barnabas, um, the history of Susanna, the conflict of Adam and Eve with Satan, which is also known as the first and second book of Adam and Eve,
Yeah.
the Psalms of Solomon. There is a lot in here that is supposedly left out of the Bible. So it makes me wonder what is in all of these that they did not want taught in the Bible.
Yeah. And why?
Yes.
Yeah.
If they're going to put out the ugly, such as killing your own child, the ugly, such as, things you can demise, surmise, um, like Jesus had a wife, or at least a girlfriend. Um, things like that you can actually figure out by reading it.
I think I
I
think
just thought
Jesus
of this.
was an actual person that lived back then,
Hmm.
but the way that they looked at him now is probably how we would look at an elected leader.
Yeah. Yep.
I was just thinking this, all this talk about like, when it comes to God or whatnot, and it got me thinking, you know, trying to teach basically the true ways of like how that should work. I often wonder like the same thing, like are they teaching the truth like when it comes to like let's say because there's obviously certain religious groups out there. Let's take examples like the Amish and the Mennonites, where they are literally indebted. I mean, the thought of God and the rules of the church and stuff that literally is like it's in their blood, right? Literally,
Well, that's how it is with a lot of different cultures.
Yeah.
yeah,
But looking back on history, if you go back through different cultures, different Christianity was not very nice.
it wasn't. It
We have
was.
done some of the worst things with Christianity.
I just thought of this because again, I've done the history myself. I mean, and not just obviously long before he ever became the United States. I mean, you see that a lot in different parts of Europe, and that undoubtedly, I mean, as great as a lot of these countries are, include a lot of them had very dark history compared to like even the UK and stuff. You see when you see a lot of these like castles throughout like different parts of Europe. I mean, obviously, depending on which castles you're looking at, especially if they've been around for centuries, and you hear. I mean, yeah, obviously you hear the ghost stories involved, but when you really delve deep into the history of what their involvement was, what they were originally built for, and you find out that a lot of them, I mean, not all of them, but a number of them had some kind of role, when it came to religion or something. And if people were not cooperating or with the program, you got hurt, and you got hurt bad or even executed.
Well, Christianity is also very responsible for what ended up leading to what we know as Friday the 13th.
Yep, that's correct.
Um, and when you think about it, Christianity is not as old as
No, it's not.
a lot of the other religions out there.
Pagan is much older. It's the oldest. But let's look at like you guys really need to watch the Viking movie, like the series. It is unreal. It is the Viking. It's called The Viking. That series is as close to actual facts as any movie is. Um, the thing about that is Christians started fighting pagans. Pagans were, of course, here first,
Yeah.
and they called them heathens. Heathens. Um, but at what point in the Bible? Now, mind you, let's go back to when Vikings were around, and the Bible. How much of it was written at that point? Let's figure that out.
Pickle
And
Tom's in the chat. Sorry, I had to say it.
Oh, he didn't scream it.
No, I still said it loud. I was like, Pickle Tom.
No.
but
Sorry, go ahead.
weren't the Ten Commandments already in place at that point in time? The Bible was written. 10 Commandments were in place. But yet, the Christians went out and started slaughtering, right? To take the lands. In the name of God. In the name of this same God.
Well,
They went out and did that.
if you really think about, and this kind of goes back partially to with what we were talking about, when it came to wars and stuff. A lot of those wars from centuries, if not thousands of years ago, unlike a lot of these other wars that we were talking about that have happened in the last century or two, a lot of these wars were involving religion and all these belief systems that they had.
Yep. And would God want us to go out and start killing in his name?
Yeah, I mean, it's like
But the
Whether,
question is, really, would he? Because he had a child killed,
yeah,
his own son killed. He had the whole world killed besides what Noah had.
Mhm.
So would he? I mean, is that
Well, supposedly.
supposedly. Well, and let's
right?
not forget another
Hey,
example
think
too is
about
that.
this.
Well, let's
When
not forget also the plagues of Egypt involving the Pharaoh. That if he was not going to set the people free to worship him, there was going to be dire consequences.
Right. And still to this day, the Bible says there are dire consequences if you have any other God before me. So, but it also says to obey the law of the land.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of our leaders are portraying themselves as gods.
They do. They are. And I've always said for the numerous times, it is a terrible decision for and not just presidents or leaders. I mean, basically anybody. It's a terrible decision to make for someone who was just daring to play God. Because I mean, yes, it's true.
look at a lot of the cult leaders.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say yes, it's true. We've often seen it a lot in the movies, some of the TV shows, the books. But when you really think about it, that there's a reality sense that there are people out there who really truly see themselves. It usually you just know regardless that it never ends well, not only just for that individual, but also for these followers.
But let's think about it. We are gullible as people, obviously. As a whole race, we are very, very gullible. If you are around a certain person, you're going to start acting like them. If you hear something enough, you believe it. That's how we are as people. That's in our nature. So, if we hear the Bible enough, it's if that's what's put in us as kids, as growing up, as norm, that's what we believe. If it's pagan ways that has been put in us as kids, that's what we believe. Even if you decide, this religion is not what I want, this is not what I believe, and turn to another religion, when things go bad and you are at your worst and you have nowhere to turn, you're going to turn to the religion you were taught and drilled into your head. And that's where you're going to turn when you think you're dying, or whatever the case may be. You're going to turn where everything has been drilled into your head.
Right.
That's who we are as people. And hell, we could be right. The people that say this could be right. We could be a damn experiment of what not to do.
I just think to myself too, like when you brought up Jeremy, like the cult leaders and stuff, you got somebody out there like in that case when they really come up with all this biblical idea, well, like this biblical themed ideas to really make the followers believe that they're God and they actually know what they're doing. It's just insane. And knowing that there are still cult groups out there that are kind of carrying on that tradition
Yeah.
is it's just mind blowing. And in fact, I think I can even just think the most notorious of one of those cults is I can't remember the full name, but they were called the FLDS, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
The,
holy,
the ones that I'm thinking of are Jim Jones,
yep, Jim Jones is another.
Charles Manson.
Yeah.
Now,
Yep,
now he may not have taken on like a I'm God kind of persona, but
Jim Jones especially did. Yeah,
yeah. Let's see.
Warren Jesse, Joanne brought up.
Who was the one that did the mass suicide in Africa?
Oh, that was
Oh, not Africa, South America. Guyana?
no, that was Jim Jones. That was
Jim
Guyana.
Jones? Okay.
Yeah, Guyana.
Um, the
Which originally, I don't know if you guys,
Comet guy?
which one?
Hale-Bopp comet.
Oh, that I'm not sure of.
Um, it's a long name. It's like two words in it.
Which, you know, by the way, I don't know if you guys knew. I mean, even though that Jim Jones moved his cult to South America in Guyana, originally that's not where they were originally supposed to go. He wanted to move Jonestown either to China or in the Soviet Union in Europe. But obviously, the governments of those countries said, no, you guys are not coming out here and going to create your own, religious community out here. And reportedly, Jones was saddened by it. So that's why they ended up
Here
choosing
it is. Marshall Applewhite.
Marshall Applewhite. Okay.
The Heaven's Gate group. They're the
Ish,
ones
no.
that committed suicide when Comet Hale-Bopp came by.
Yeah.
This was almost 30 years ago.
Yeah. Well, that's where Jim Jones originally wanted to establish his community, either in China or the Soviet Union, but he couldn't because they said no. So that's why they established it in Guyana. Plus, Guyana is also the only nation in the entire continent of South America where their official language is English. So that's why they chose Guyana for it.
Oh, Chantel, I get it.
Yeah,
But
I can
let's
understand.
think about. There was a book we were listening to last night. Zach listens to books at night, and it's a nice noise. But you also retain things when you don't realize you do. Um, but
Whoa.
it was talking about, way back when Christianity, and when people thought that Christians were this terrible cult because they were secretive. They were secretive because they couldn't be Christians, but they said that they ate babies, that
Yeah,
they did cannibalism. They would drink, blood, um, and come to find out it's because we don't take the time, and we still do this. We don't take the time to get to know somebody else's culture. We don't take the time to ask somebody something and get to know their side of it. And the reason they said that is because we do this, as Christians, you take the body of Christ, which is unleavened bread,
Yep.
and you drink the blood of Christ, which is wine or grape juice or whatever the case might be at your church. And so somebody heard this and said that they were cannibals. The reason that they said that they ate babies or sacrificed them is because in that era, it was okay and accepted because they couldn't raise another child in their family because they were broke, they were poor, whatever the case might be. And they would take their baby and put it outside to die in the elements once they had them.
Well, and see, that's kind of weird. That's kind of bizarre because I remember hearing too, that kind of at the same time. However, I've also learned that the earliest Christians, originally feared of cannibalism and vampirism in certain areas of Europe. So it's I guess it also kind of depended on where you were living at the time. Because
And it all stemmed from that same thing because they would talk about the body of Christ, the blood of Christ. And so when people heard it, and they didn't get to see the actual ritual, which is exactly what it is. It is a ritual. And they didn't get to see it. So they thought they really drank the blood of somebody and ate their body. And,
yeah.
and even back in Viking days, they would put babies out that were like the boneless.
Oh my God, it's like right in front of me.
I know, and I just watched this too, but Ivar the boneless. His dad had put him out to die. The mother went and got him and fought the king. Said, no, I don't think so. But now, how it really happened, we don't know the story of Ivar the boneless, whether it was he couldn't get an erection, whether he had some disease that he had brittle bone disease, who knows? But if they had a defect, they would put them out in the woods and let nature take its toll. Alive, they would let nature take its toll upon birth. That went on for a long time. It wasn't just Vikings. This went on for a long time that this happened. And the Christian community, when they would throw them out there, they'd take them and raise them as their own. But that's not a story. That wouldn't go into their rhetoric of, this group of people is terrible and they eat people, and they said that they sacrificed the babies, which they did not do. They raised them as Christians. But, if we don't take the time to get to know someone, we don't take the time to ask questions, because and people don't answer questions, or didn't, because they would be made fun of. They wouldn't be understood anyway. And that's where we're circling back around to, instead of, hey, what do you believe? Tell me why. Have that conversation. That's not what we do. We make fun of people. That's where we're going back to. And it's, history repeats itself, and it's not going to be a good thing.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. It's just like, I don't know. It's just really like just the way how you describe that, just with with history repeating itself. I mean, it's not looking good for the outcomes of the future. I mean, we would have expected that it would have been a lot more sophisticated and understanding, in this day and age. But it's almost just like it's just crazy to think that you got people out there who are almost like doing everything in their power to try to basically make everything go back to the way things were originally.
I don't
Yeah.
think that will ever happen.
What movie?
No, I know what you're talking
I
about.
don't
And
remember what that movie was.
unfortunately, we can turn anything into a monster if we wanted to. And I think many of the stories in that are very monstrous. They're very monstrous because people wrote it. Now, if that is really what happened, we should be really scared, because
Really?
it's not good. And if we're serving, or whoever, is serving a God that does that, we should be very scared, because we're all screwed.
Yeah, we really are. And
I
it doesn't even.
no matter which way we go.
Yeah, and I've even said it, and it's not even just here throughout this country. I think it's going to be happening like just about everywhere.
Well, I choose those rose-colored glasses we talked about last week, and
Yeah.
I just don't think any of that's true. I think we get to either reincarnate, try it again, which I don't want to ever do again.
Frankenstein is supposed to
I'm
be
good. Or, we get to choose, which is what I believe. We get to choose. Do we want to be a spirit guide? Do we want to be, you have a choice. It's not, because that it's just not okay.
I know. Sorry, that part of the Bible is a bad God, and now we are to say he is moving his.
Yeah. Oh no, I get what she's saying.
Yeah. And then Chanel said Frankenstein is supposed to be big. Oh, moving his loving God. Okay, that's what she was trying to say.
Yeah.
Bible
Not
comes
what that portrays.
so many ways.
Yep.
We're coming up. We're coming up on 2 hours now.
A little over.
Well, a little over on time, but we're still technically 4 minutes away from the actual 2 hour.
I was going to say, with all due respect, since we start a few minutes after 7 o'clock our time, I mean, that is, yeah,
That's
we are.
our fault. That's our fault.
Well, see, I was exercising as usual, before I got on here.
Good for you, because I'm exercising my arm,
Well,
my mouth.
Well, unfortunately, I'm just going to say
This is what she's saying. This is fitness.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Hey,
unfortunately, I'm going to just say this. I'm just going to say this. Unfortunately, a few of my pounds came back on because this past weekend was
me
kind of a
too.
crazy weekend for us. But I'm not giving up, and I've already knocked down three of those. It's not. It's about. It's not. It's about. I gained about 8 pounds back, but I already knocked three down, so I'm
So
already making progress.
And
round is a
was
shape.
supposed to be on the network tonight, but for whatever reason, he's not.
What were you
Round is
saying,
a
sir?
shape. We're okay.
What's that?
Round is a shape.
Yeah, but I need to get in better shape.
Round is a shape.
I definitely need to get into better shape, and I also got to get up really early tomorrow, so I need to go to bed early.
What do you
I don't
got going
want to
on
get up
tomorrow? If you
early
don't mind,
tomorrow.
I
Well,
was going to say, what do you got going on tomorrow? If you don't mind me asking.
I need to go shopping first thing in the morning, and I want to go shopping early enough and get home so that I can do my work before doing the shows tomorrow.
That should be fun.
Yeah, and besides, I like to do shopping first thing in the morning because people are not out yet.
I mean, that's what I have to deal with every day when I go to work.
So I
In
can, so
the
I can
morning, 'cause I see that every day.
get in, get my shit, get out, get home.
Well, a good part for me too is that I won't be working for the next 4 days because I got obviously yeah, because I got Friday and Sundays off like I usually do, but I took Saturday and Monday off for. It's all been taken off for a very good reason because let's also not forget the fact that this upcoming Monday, my birthday. So I'm going to be on a birthday break, if you will. So it should
Yeah,
be enjoyable.
we'll be turning 13 years old, folks.
So now that you're another year older, we need to teach you something different this month.
Oh God,
Next
should,
month.
should I be scared? Should I
You
get an
probably should be, yeah.
should I get an adult?
Well,
Not unless you want them to demonstrate.
I don't know what that demonstration is. Now I have definitely more reasons to be scared.
Well, we learned motorboating. That was not so bad.
God. I don't even think I want to know what's next.
well, that's where the good stuff comes in. So, so not only will it be your birthday on Monday, but it'll also be Michael's birthday too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And then also Tim Smith. I think his birthday. Well, no, not his birthday. I think one of his son's birthdays is also that same day too. So yeah, in which Lois is hosting a special birthday bash for both me and Tim tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
So it should be fun. Oh, hey, Amy, just as we're about to end.
Yeah, we're getting ready to turn off for the night. Yeah. So next week we will be talking about maybe some supernatural stuff.
What about Puma Punka or whatever the hell that was?
Puma Punka.
Yeah, because you keep pushing it back.
Yeah, I do. But I really wanted to talk about Georgia Guidestones this week.
Well, that was fascinating, nonetheless.
Oh, it is fascinating, especially when you learn, the possible connection to the Rosicrucians.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. But yeah, we'll try to get into some good stuff next week. Stay tuned. Tomorrow, 13th Dimension, I've got Ed Odell on the show, episode number 98. I'm looking forward to that. And then Saturday, long ass day for Zach.
It will be, and I know you're gonna have a good time chatting with Dad. He's always great to chat with.
Huh?
No, Ed.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
I was
love it.
just saying. I know you're gonna have a good. I'm just saying. I know you're gonna have a great conversation with Ed because he's always great to chat with. Yeah,
Yes, and he's also a big supporter of things as well.
he is. He really is. And
He's a
very
huge
briefly,
supporter of people. He's amazing.
Yes.
and I just want to throw out too, very briefly, for those who don't know, Nick Files is making a brief comeback for the special 22-hour program. So I'm finishing up the rest of it. I'm going to add some additional info just in case. You never know. But it's pretty much almost ready to go. So I'm really looking forward to it. And Tom, yes, I
think of
know.
it
We're
this
still
way.
on the show, though.
Think of it this way, Tom. Nick's show, he says, is only going to last 15 minutes,
No.
but
So he was at. It was going to
in
be 15
actuality,
minutes.
it's going to be an hour and a half.
No, he's
But for
saying
him, it's only going to be 15 minutes, so don't worry about that.
no. He's saying 15 minutes because I got a message from the Minecraft chat and that Tom was going to be playing Minecraft.
Oh, we ain't worried about Minecraft.
Yeah, no, they were gonna Robert and Kate were gonna play, and I said, well, I could probably play too, but we're wrapping up with Supernatural talk. I'll be off in 15 minutes.
Now,
So
why
obviously
would
it's
you
more.
want to
That's
play
why he's saying
He
that.
could be coming in here and watching us.
Yeah, that's why he's saying 15 minutes. My ass.
Yeah.
Nope. Go.
So, yeah, we got that 22-hour thing on Saturday. Zach's going to be on a lot of it. I will have a 2-hour block. Adrian will have a 2-hour block. Nick will have however long he pre-records his.
At least a 45 or 1 hour block. But if Lois needs me or whatever, who knows? Maybe I'll be on more. I don't know.
If it goes over, that's perfectly fine.
Only time will tell.
Zach will take over.
Sober.
Yeah, if it goes over 45 minutes to an hour, it's perfectly fine. He's going to put you in where it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it either way.
All right, folks. Well, we're going to sign off. Thank you for playing along with us this week. And we will see you all next week.
You guys have a good night.
And have a good weekend.
And yeah, good weekend too.